rich and complicated history, beginning with a brave revolution that booted out slavery to become the world's first black republic.
Haiti was a concentration camp and was liberated by the prisoners, and they had to make this concentration camp their own country.
And that freedom came at a heavy cost. Not only did they face the wrath from countries like the US and England, but a demand from France for compensation for loss of slaves and plantations, and that began Haiti's terrible cycle of debt. Recently, decades of inexpensive imports like rice from the US and food aid for various crises have destroyed local agriculture and left Haiti unable to feed itself.
They just can't seem to be beaten down. We've tried for several hundred years, and we haven't been able to succeed.
Our rice production has been just about destroyed by American rice, subsidized to the tune of 40%. They are killing us.
I have to live every day with the consequences of the lost capacity to produce a rice crop in Haiti to feed those people.
Both before and after the quake, Haiti's people have been held back by badly underdeveloped infrastructure, critical struggles over land tenure and property rights, and IMF-imposed privatization of state-owned industries, the lowering of government subsidies, and currency devaluation.
We don't have no education in this country. We don't have no money. We don't have no resource. We don't have nothing. We can do not only God can help us out.
And not only has Haiti had to deal with many natural disasters like hurricanes, floods, and mudslides, but it's been 2 years now since that devastating earthquake hit the country.
The dust, anybody can see, and they keep calling, Jesus, Jesus, save me.
Tropical storm or a hurricane, they'd be hanging on to these rocks, you know, so as not to be washed away.
Democracy in general has floundered in Haiti. Years of dictatorship, terror, and corruption. And while it is in place now, it still struggles.
We call the palace Devil's House. So much corruption.
We would all love to see changes, but not all of us know where to begin.
And on top of everything else, the country has also been facing a new crisis, a cholera outbreak. It seems like the country just can't catch a break.
For the last 2 years, it's all funerals. Sometimes there are more dead in the chapel than living.
Thousands of tents still dot the congested urban capital city of Port-au-Prince, which, to be honest, surprises a lot of people considering how much money seemed to be pledged.
United States, Canada sent a lot of money in this country. They use it for politics. We die in misery.
Everybody give donation for Haiti. So sometimes I wonder where that money go.
So where has the money gone? And where is the room for positive change? Filmmaker Paul Haggis asked me to come down, see the country with my own eyes, and see where the hope for Haiti is.
We cannot eliminate our dreams. We dream, and we dream. We continue to dream.
I think Haiti has been depicted as a God-forsaken, cursed place, which it is not.
Arriving in Haiti, we were only there for a brief time, so it was straight from the airport with the World Food Program to an encampment to see how some people were living 2 years on. The WFP has been in Haiti since 1969. School meals, nutrition, and job creation initiatives are the agency's main programs. In this camp, with other organizations, they are providing free medical services and food distribution to fight malnutrition.
How many people live here? Three?
Three? No. Six people sleep here.
In here.
The conditions of the encampments are hard. Tents are basic, small spaces, and extremely hot, almost suffocating. Just imagine living and cooking here.
How long have you been in this camp?
13 janvier, January 13, 2010.
How's she feeling these days? Does she have hope that this will improve?
The level of poverty is extreme in this country. It's called the poorest in the Western Hemisphere. 3/4 of the population live on $2 a day or less.
How many people are still living in tents here?
In tents here?
Yeah.
Maybe 10,000.
You're just in this camp here alone?
Yes.
Crime and sexual violence increased after the earthquake. Women and children particularly vulnerable. And on top of that, and it's a big one, food insecurity affects 1/3 of the population.
Les femmes enceintes, les femmes allaitantes qui sont anémiques, et là vraiment il faut travailler avec tous ces gens, éduquer quand on ne peut pas offrir la nourriture pour ne pas aggraver le taux de malnutrition qui est déjà très élevé.
Talk about the condition of women in Haiti and the conditions for women here.
For many, many families, they had to figure out how to rebuild their lives from scratch. No house, no job, family members that were gone, and it's become harder for women. And this is why nearly 2 years after the earthquake, we see that these services, every woman that I speak to in this country, that I meet in these programs, they always tell me that it helps.
All right, just tell us about the situation in Haiti. What's it facing right now?
Well, from WFP's point of view, from the World Food Programme's point of view, there is still lots of work to be done. We are approaching 2 years from the earthquake, and as you can see, there is still over 500,000 people without any housing.
The role of aid and NGOs in a country is always a controversial one. In Haiti, the UN agency and its partners provide full meals to over 1 million school children a day. In addition, the WFP has been helping the Haitian government build a universal school meals program by developing strong links between local farmers and schools. Now, there are thousands of small non-governmental organizations, NGOs, working in Haiti. In fact, it's often been called, and not always in the most positive light, the Republic of NGOs. Many people say effective aid is one that actually works with grassroots organizations in the country, and that's something that Paul Haggis has been doing for 3 years as he set up Artists for Peace and Justice. What's changed for you with Haiti after the earthquake?
You know, before the quake, we were supporting a lot of elementary schools in the slums. And it was very difficult to raise money. Haiti wasn't on anybody's radar. After the quake, we were able to raise a considerable amount of money because people were just suddenly, everyone's heart was pouring out. I came here about 4 years ago because I read about this man, Rick Frechette, this priest and doctor who was doing amazing work, and came to build an orphanage. And then he saw the state of things here and said, you know, these people don't need a priest, they need a doctor. And so he studied medicine in the States and worked on the slums on the weekends and went back and forth and somehow got his medical degree. And so I came and I hung out with him for a week while he worked in the slums, and I was so impressed with what he did with so little that I just felt he needed some support. So we started gathering some friends together, and it's just evolved.
Father Rick took us to Cité Soleil, which is one of the most notorious slums in the Western Hemisphere. It's an area of Port-au-Prince long labeled for its intense poverty and high crime.
Canada. Yeah. Eu vim para um coup d'œil. Yeah.
Because you're obviously well respected here. I mean, we're only in this place now because you're here, Cité Soleil. But have you ever had close calls, personal brushes with danger?
Oh yeah. There was an attempt to kidnap me one time, but the kidnappers didn't know it was me. And when they realized, you know, we had guns drawn and the car was stopped and we were pulled out, and then they said, "Oh my God, look who it is!" And then they were, you know, they were all apologies and, you know, put us back in the car and asked us to please excuse them and everything else. Yeah. But I mean, if it were somebody that didn't know me, that would have been a bad scene.
A lot of money was raised after the earthquake, and the perception is that it's not getting better here. The perception is that it just won't get better here.
$9 billion nation-to-nation pledge was only pledge. And even now, after 2 years, with almost none of that being spent, there's a lot of retracting on the pledge, and the pledges actually only come to 4.5 million now. People who don't...
4.5 million or billion?
Billion.
Billion.
Haitian government should be trusted. They should be trusted to run their own government. Well, we've never done that. You know, we've never let them run their own government. We've always, you know, either installed a dictator who would do what we want to do, or if we didn't like what Aristide was doing, we overthrew him twice. You know, and now it's all, you know, all the donor money that we think we gave. You know, all the money that the countries have pledged. You know, the nations have pledged. Most of that hasn't gotten here because they put preconditions on that money. So again, they're saying, well, you know, when you govern yourself well, we'll give you them. World Food Programme, I think, is a pretty good organization. And look at what Paul Farmer's been doing here. There's amazing people who've been doing great, great work here. And then there are others who just haven't spent their money. They raised some of the big NGOs raise millions and millions and millions, and if you look at their public statements, I'm not saying anything that's just not, you just can't find out, is they've spent 10-20% of the funds they've raised. That's criminal.
So we know that millions were moved to donate to Haiti after the earthquake, and you'll often hear frustration from the outside world about, hey, well, what happened to the money we sent there? Well, imagine if you actually have to live there.
United States, Canada send a lot of money in this country. They use it for politics. We die in misery. When you live in on the tent, your kids been raped. You can die any minute. No water, no toilet, no food. You live in just like animals. And our misery, they make money. They keep us in that camp, you know, to make more money. That's why they don't move us. You know, they know if they move us, you know, the international are going to send money in this country. They must leave this country. I don't know why they orange in this country, because 19 months after the earthquake, they already sent $4 billion in this country. And can you see how we live?
When you come down to figuring how much was actually spent here and what was done, it's pretty grim.
You know, the perception is a lot of money was donated and it hasn't gotten here, and it hasn't been implemented. Where did the money go?
Well, I'm sure money has arrived here. I can speak on behalf of the World Food Program. Recent evaluations actually show that nutritional situation did not go worse after the earthquake, which itself is a quite significant achievement.
Some groups have worked hard to make change and positive change, but here's a truth that we know around the world, and it's true for Haitians. It comes down to jobs, widespread unemployment and underemployment. More than 2/3 of the labor force do not have formal jobs.
That is why I come to the prayer, to pray God to give me a beautiful job.
If we don't have a lot of job for the people, it might be to get hungry. Because if everybody fight job, if they fight job, they get money, they're not supposed to be hungry.
The impact on the economy was huge, and it's been very hard for people to just find work. They rely on family, they rely on people, they try to scrape a little bit of money and sell food on the street or do anything that they can think of.
All right, so if that's some of the reality, well, the big question is, what needs to be done? How do you actually make change? What's the role of government here? Well, Patrick Elie is an activist and former politician under the Aristide government.
What's the answer? Is it for all the NGOs and all the humanitarian people to leave and then let Haiti find its own way?
It doesn't have to be that radical, you know. To start, the NGOs should be willing to submit to the Haitian vision and prepare their own retreat, which does not have to be sudden, you know?
The Haitian government said that by the money being given to NGOs rather than the government, it condemns Haiti to a cycle of dependency.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and then we're doing the same thing because we're an NGO. We're a small one, but we are. If we could have given that money to the state and allowed them, with our little bit of money, to build an education system, I would have done it. But we don't have that kind of money. You know, the Clinton Foundation is raising a lot of money. A lot of people with us are raising a lot of money. They could. You know, make a big difference there. And I would be very happy to close down Artists for Peace and Justice. I do really like, you know, it's too much time.
How do you make your organization accountable?
Well, we know what every brick costs, and we know what the names of our students. And we worked with really, really good people. We worked with, you know, the St. Luke Foundation, which is founded by Rick Frechette, who works by empowering the Haitians. I mean, our school was built by Haitians, designed by Haitians, run by Haitians. You know, it's Haitian, and they do a hell of a job. They know what they want. We give them the money, and we sit down and we sketch out what we both think is going to work, and they build it, and they build it fast, and they build it great. You see the hospital they built, and it stood during that quake, and it's standing still, and it's beautiful.
So this morning when we went to your mass, I mean, I understand there used to be regular masses, and lately it's just funerals.
Oh yeah, for the last 2 years it's all funerals.
So how does this happen?
The bodies are brought over from our 3 different medical centers. Most of them are cholera, most of them, but not all of them. But often we have 5 or 6 in the chapel in the morning, very often. Sometimes if there's no, like on a Saturday, let's say when there's not a lot of normal activity, sometimes there are more dead in the chapel than living that are praying for them. It's a very strange feeling to be outnumbered by the dead at the morning mass.
With everything Haiti's had to deal with, you'd think that it was a lost cause, but it's not. It's a complex place that still deserves the world's attention. What is it about Haiti that's drawn so many in? It seems to have that effect.
Well, it's one of the poorest nations in the world to start with, but that's not really it. The people are amazing. You've met them. There's so much joy in these people. There's so much life force, and they just can't seem to be beaten down. We've tried for several hundred years, and we haven't been able to succeed. And they're there, and they're alive, and they're fighting.
We have all seen images of poverty from around the world, and oftentimes it just all looks the same. Well, it's not. Haiti is a country that is very different and has an awful lot to offer.
There is hope for Haiti, but it's going to be an uphill battle. I think that the world has benefited from the Haitian Revolution, and we should get our credit for that, because when the French Revolution proclaimed it, it didn't include niggers and women, right? When the American proclaimed it, it didn't include Indians, women, and niggers. Haiti said every person is entitled to freedom, and every country should be the master of its own destiny. And that has been a tremendous contribution to world history, but one that has been deliberately erased, killing us.
I have to live every day with the consequences of the lost capacity to produce a rice crop in Haiti to feed those people.
Both before and after the quake, Haiti's people have been held back by badly underdeveloped infrastructure, critical struggles over land tenure and property rights, and IMF-imposed privatization of state-owned industries, the lowering of government subsidies, and currency devaluation.
We don't have no education in this country. We don't have no money. We don't have no resource. We don't have nothing. We can't do nothing. Only God can help us out.
Not only has Haiti had to deal with many natural disasters like hurricanes, floods, and mudslides, but it's been 2 years now since that devastating earthquake hit the country.
The dust, anybody can see, and they keep calling, Jesus, Jesus, save me.
Tropical storm or a hurricane, they'd be hanging on to these rocks, you know, so as not to be washed away.
Democracy in general has floundered in Haiti. Years of dictatorship, terror, and corruption. And while it is in place now, it still struggles.
We call the palace Devil's House. So much corruption.
We would all love to see changes, but not all of us know where to begin.
And on top of everything else, the country has also been facing a new crisis, a cholera outbreak. Haiti has a rich and complicated history, beginning with a brave revolution that booted out slavery to become the world's first black republic.
Haiti was a concentration camp and was liberated by the prisoners, and they had to make this concentration camp their own country.
And that freedom came at a heavy cost. Not only did they face the wrath from countries like the US and England, but a demand from France for compensation for loss of slaves and plantations, and that began Haiti's terrible cycle of debt. Recently, decades of inexpensive imports like rice from the US and food aid for various crises have destroyed local agriculture and left Haiti unable to feed itself.
They just can't seem to be beaten down. We've tried for several hundred years, and we haven't been able to succeed.
Our rice production has been just about destroyed by American rice, subsidized to the tune of 40%. They are kicked.
It seems like the country just can't catch a break.
For the last 2 years, it's all funerals. Sometimes there are more dead in the chapel than living.
Thousands of tents still dot the congested urban capital city of Port-au-Prince, which, to be honest, surprises a lot of people considering how much money seemed to be pledged.
United States, Canada send a lot of money in this country. They use it for politics. We die in misery.
Everybody give donation for Haiti. So sometimes I wonder where that money go.
So where has the money gone? And where is the room for positive change? Filmmaker Paul Haggis asked me to come down, see the